Well, the former CEO of Twitter has publicly criticized the company's board as it evaluates a takeover bid from billionaire Elon Musk. On Sunday, Jack Dorsey responded to a Twitter user describing the, quote, plots and coups that played out in the early history of Twitter's board by saying, quote, it has consistently been the dysfunction of the company. Dorsey is still a member of the board, but plans to leave once his term expires in May. Musk tweeted Saturday the Twitter board, quote, collectively owns almost no shares, with Dorsey departing. He also said the board's economic interests do not align with those of shareholders. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO offered to buy Twitter for $43 billion last week. CBS News tech reporter Dan Patterson joins us now for more on this. Dan, great to see you. To get updated on what's going on with the Elon Musk Twitter board saga. We know that the board employed something that's known as a poison pill, right? Explain what that means and why that, at the very least, is, holding things off for a little bit.
Yeah, good to see you too, Tanya. Another twist in this saga. So this poison pill, as described, is really just a dilution of stock, or a proposed dilution of stock. So the way it would work is the board would say if any one shareholder met a 15% threshold, then they would approve other shareholders to buy Twitter stock at a reduced price. This would effectively dilute Twitter stock, and it would reduce the amount that the person who was trying to hostily take over the company owned. It would reduce their percentage of ownership.
But do we know if there are any other serious suitors out there?
Well, no one as overt as Elon Musk, but we do know that one of the options, one of the things that Twitter has been looking into are potential either co-funders, other companies to come in and fund Twitter, or just take them over to fund the company themselves.
It's all very complicated. It's almost like an episode of Game of Thrones, right? But I want to ask you about Dorsey's expected departure from the board in May. How is that expected to affect what the board does and what Musk does?
Well, look, he won't have as direct of an influence as he does now or did in the past, but we know that Dorsey and Musk are kind of frenemies and that he has indirect influence over Twitter, not just the board and not just the company, but the entire culture of Twitter's management. Dorsey plays a pretty big role.
Right. Okay. So we know that Elon Musk has threatened to take his offer straight to the shareholders, right? Over the head of the board and go straight to the shareholders. Can he do that? Number one. And number two, if the shareholders say, hey, yeah, actually, I want a big payout now, let's go with this. Is the board powerless to stop that from happening?
No, the board is not powerless, but look, Elon can say he wants to do this, but he's not as liquid as he pretends to be. In fact, over the weekend, I spoke to a couple people who said that he would have to sell about 5% of Tesla in order to get the cash he needs. That would be a pretty big sacrifice on his end. He could partner with some other capital firms to fund this, but it's not as direct as he makes it out to be. Twitter has a bunch of options. Look, they could negotiate with him. They could open their books and say, hey, let's find a better price. They could dilute it, like we talked about earlier, and they could simply find other funding partners and just change the finances.
It's interesting, that point about him not being as liquid as he wants everybody to believe. So, of course, it sounds like a game of poker or something, right? Like, who's bluffing here, right? When's everyone going to show their cards?
Well, that's definitely the game that Elon plays. Nothing he does is direct, and we should take everything he does and says, even this takeover or potential takeover of Twitter, with a grain of salt.
Fascinating stuff, and I know we're going to keep checking in with you with each latest development. So thank you so much, Dan Patterson, for that.
Good to see you.